What's cracking? What's going on, family, soul tribe? How we doing today? I'm sitting here in this line at the Krispy Kreme trying to get some donuts for my sister. She's lucky because this line is long. But anyway, it's giving me some time to kind of put some thoughts together and talk about some things I want to jump on live and talk to you all about. But I figured I'd pre-record it first and try to get some thoughts together. This day has been very emotional for me. We had the full moon in Scorpio a couple days ago, and we're still feeling the effects of it. I'm definitely feeling the effects of it. I'm a logical person for the most part. I think a lot, and I'm an overthinker. Stay in my head a lot. So dealing with emotions is not my favorite thing. So I'm dealing with those today. Have been dealing with them all week. Just a typical human emotion. Things that we go through. So I wanted to jump on and just kind of talk to you all about some things that I'm about to bring out to the public. Some kind of unfamiliar thoughts, probably unfamiliar territory, I'm sure. But I'm coming with it anyway. Yes, I am. So to begin with, I want to talk today. I have a lot of different topics that I'm going to bring to the light that the divine has been sharing with me, that the universe, God, however you choose to name the higher power and divine being, is all up to you. I grew up in a religious home, religious background. I was raised Pentecostal holiness, definitely to believe in God the Father, the Holy Spirit, and the Son. So I don't knock anyone that still believes or still holds those things very near and dear to your heart. I myself still do. However, I've been enlightened to other ways of expanding those thoughts. As we live and breathe and grow and learn new things, we are supposed to expand how we think about things. We're supposed to expand our consciousness. And so I've been going through a grand awakening for the past 3 years, just kind of awakening to a new way of seeing things, awakening to a new way of viewing things, a new perspective on life. As I said, it's been about 3 years I've been awakening now, and I want to share these thoughts with you all. I'm not by any means in trying to convince anyone. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm not trying to convert or convince anyone with my thoughts. I just want to share for the people that are out there and that may be going through the same awakening that I am, that may be having the same thoughts that I am. Because it's a scary place. It's a scary place to even talk about, even tell someone that you're having the thoughts of awakening and changing your view on how you see religion, changing your traditional view on how we live and operate in this world. We are spirit first. Let me just say that. There's one thing that we have to know, that we're spirit first. And then we're bodies. I'm sorry, y'all, got distracted. I was too far out in traffic. I'm sorry, got distracted. But yes, we're spirit first. And then we deal from our human bodies, our human perspective. Our spirits are what directs and tells our bodies what to do. And so how you take care of your spirit, what you feed your spirit, what you sow into your spirit is utterly important, especially in this day and time. And I don't know if, how anyone, subjectively feels about this, but for me, the traditional way of church, I guess I'll put it, the traditional way of believing, the traditional way of perceiving religion and how it affects our lives, I don't want to say it no longer works for me, but as I said in the beginning, I have a broader view of how to relate to what I was taught traditionally. And so I'll just jump right in. The topic I had on mind today to talk about, and that's been coming to me as I'm driving around and trying to get my mind together in this coronavirus, because I was tired of sitting in the house. So the thoughts I'm having are basically related to Jesus, related to my thoughts on Jesus and who he was to the world. What was his message to the world? What was Jesus about? Who was Jesus? And those sound like simple questions to a lot of people, but when you really dig into the life of Jesus and who he was and what he taught and what he stood for, what he believed, you'd be surprised at what you'd find. For one, I'll start here. Jesus was not a Christian, contrary to popular belief. Jesus was not a Christian. There were no churches when Jesus lived. Jesus was even lower thought of than the apostles, than the dignitaries. The Pharisees and the Sadducees were the people of the Jews that were the apostles and the bishops and the clergymen. And I want you to go back and read the story about the Pharisees and the Sadducees and understand that they were the ones that crucified Jesus for his message. Now, I'm going to say that again for the ones in the back. The apostles and the bishops and the clergy, those were the ones that hung Jesus from the tree. They hung him because of his message. Jesus' message when he lived was not popular. Jesus' miracles was what had people follow him. If you go to the book of John, the St. John, I think it's in chapter, I want to say in the 3rd chapter of John, when Jesus had, after he turned the water to wine, Jesus turned the water to wine, and then he left and he went to another city. And because of that miracle, Jesus had many followers, because they thought that was amazing that Jesus was an alchemist and he could turn water into wine. And they didn't understand Jesus's view and the reason why he could be the alchemist and turn water into wine. So you got to dig deep to find out who Jesus really was on the inside. Because back to my prior point, Jesus was not a Christian, and he was crucified, or set to crucify. The people that had him crucified were his own people. They were the Jew dignitaries. They were the Jew apostles and the Jew bishops. They wanted to keep the rules in place. They wanted to keep the principles in place. They didn't care about Jesus' message. They cared about their laws of the land. And if we look at the way society is today, this is the same thing that we're dealing with now. We're dealing with people who don't understand who Jesus really was. Everybody's running around Jesus, worship Jesus. Jesus didn't one time ask anyone to worship him. Jesus knew he was the Son of God. But here's the thing. His message to you was, so are you. We are all children of God. We're all sons and daughters of God. We're all God expressions. We're all stardust. We all come from the sun. That was Jesus's message to the world. Like the same things that I do, the same things that I've done, you can do too. Greater is he that is in me, than he that is in the world. And so we have to really dig into the story of Jesus and figure out who he really was before we attempt to preach his message. I think there's a lot of people out here that's preaching stuff that they have no clue what they're talking about. Okay, I'm gonna reel that in. But anyway, my message to you is, I definitely believe in Jesus. I believe Jesus' story. I believe that there was a man that walked the earth, and his name was Jesus, Yeshua. Yeah, I reference him as my spirit guide, as my ancestor. But what I've learned about Jesus is that he was more convinced on the inside of who he was than he could have ever let anybody on the outside know who he was. And that's why he could work the miracles that he could. Jesus was in touch with his star player. I don't know how many of you have seen the comedian Cat Williams talk about being in touch with your star player. But while it's funny, while it's all a joke and hee ha ha, because Cat Williams can make you laugh, he can do it to you. But while he was trying to get the message across and tell everybody that you got to be in touch with your star player, Cat Williams was carrying a message, the same message that Jesus was carrying when he worked the miracles, because it wasn't his duty or his obligation or his purpose to work miracles. Jesus's purpose in the earth. I'm sorry, Scorpio full moon. But Jesus's purpose in the earth was to relate a message to you that you can do the same things that I do, because you're the same on the inside that I am. I am that I am. Jesus wanted us to realize that we are God's children. We are expressions of God. We are stardust. We come from God. And so this was the message that he wanted to get across to us. And this is the message that most Christians miss today. So I want to go on and start talking live about some things and trying to share my message, get my message out there. Once again, I'm not trying to convert anyone. I'm not debating anyone's religion. I'm not debating anyone's traditional way of believing. If it's working for you, baby, work it. My only point, my only reason for going out here is for the ones that are struggling with the thoughts that you may be having about a broader view of how you see your world, a broader view of what the universe is starting to mean to you. I know I'm not the only one awakening out here. So I want to get that message across, and I want to tell you most of all that I love you. I'm sharing love and light. I'm sending positive energy your way. I'll be back. Thank you for joining me. Take care.